This episode is provided by Thomas Allgaier and Frennis, based on the most relevant LinkedIn posts about go-to-market in calendar weeks 10 and 11. Frennis is a B2B market research company helping enterprises gain the customer, competitive, and positioning insights needed to drive GTM success.
Top go-to-market trends seen across LinkedIn.
Top go-to-market trends seen across LinkedIn. Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive. Because, if you think building a bad product is the most expensive mistake an early-stage company can make right now, you're actually mistaken.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Today, we are cutting straight through all the noise to look at the real, completely unfiltered state of go-to-market right now. So if you're a B2B pro and you're feeling just overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tactical advice out there, because it's a lot, this is for you. We're focusing purely on what top operators are actually sharing from the trenches.
Right. And looking at the data from the past couple of weeks, we really have to look past the hype because, everyone is just so desperate to jump straight into shiny new AI tools and, automated outbound sequences.
Oh, absolutely. The shiny object syndrome is real.
It's so real. But a massive theme is emerging from the practitioners who are actually doing the work, which is the absolute necessity of building the foundation first. And we see this clearly in a pattern that Scott Travis recently pointed out regarding that exact expensive mistake you just mentioned.
Right.
The costliest error a startup makes isn't the product. It's actually hiring a VP of sales before establishing an actual go-to-market system.
That makes so much sense when you look at how companies typically scale. Because, a founder will use their own reality distortion field, their personal network, just sheer willpower to get the company to its first 1 or 2 million in revenue.
Yeah, the founder magic.
Exactly, the founder magic.
Yeah.
But then the board demands scale. So what do? They go out and hire a VP of sales with this sparkling resume from some massive tech giant. But 9 months later, that VP is gone, the cash is totally burned, and the founder's right back to selling.
Yeah, and the failure wasn't necessarily the person. It was the sequence of events, right? They expected the VP to operate a machine that literally hadn't been built yet.
Which means we have to talk about what actually constitutes that machine. And it starts with strategy and positioning. TK Cater brought some heavy scrutiny to this area recently. He identified the hidden gaps that just quietly drain revenue from GTM teams.
What was at the top of his list?
At the very top are fuzzy ideal customer profiles, your ICPs, alongside misaligned messaging. You can hire an army of the best sales reps in the world, but if the strategic targeting isn't ruthlessly defined, they're just going to generate surface-level demo requests, and those inevitably turn into churned accounts.
Wow, yeah. If your ICP is fuzzy, it's kind of like casting a net in the desert and then wondering why you aren't catching any fish.
That is exactly it. You might make a lot of noise, but you're just wasting your budget. Precision is literally everything right now.
It is. And Jamie Walsh recently provided a really stark wake-up call on why this precision cannot wait until tomorrow. Because we used to rely on this 18 to 36 month differentiation window.
Oh, the good old days.
Right. If you built a great product, you had time while your competitors scrambled to hire engineers, design alternatives, raise capital, all of that.
But AI has entirely collapsed that timeline.
Completely. As Walsh noted, a competitor can now replicate your software moat in days. They can spin up a minimum viable product over a single weekend. The timeline cushion is just gone.
Wow.
So your defensible wedge in the market, your unique perspective and positioning it, has to be locked in long before you write the code for your next feature. If you treat positioning as a phase 2 problem, build the product first and figure out the messaging later.
We're going to be in trouble.
Exactly. You will arrive at the market to find competitors offering the exact same features, but with a sharper story.
I have to ask, though, if features can really be copied in a weekend, how do you actually figure out where you belong in the market? Because Sangram Vosher offers a really useful framework for this. He categorizes the market into 3 distinct lanes.
Okay, let's break those down.
Yeah, so lane 1 is the product first lane. This is where you compete purely on efficiency and volume. Your product basically gets cheaper to produce every day, and you win by having the widest distribution.
Got it. Like a sheer numbers game.
Exactly. Then lane 2 is the customer first lane. This is where you compete on transformation. The customer's business actually operates differently because of your intervention. Right. And that's what allows you to command premium pricing.
Okay, so what's the third lane?
Well, the danger lies in lane 3, which Vosher calls the muddy middle.
Uh-oh, muddy middle.
Yeah, it's the instability zone. You aren't the cheapest option, so you lose the volume game, but you aren't the most transformational either, so you lose the premium game.
Oh, that's a tough place to be.
It's terrible. Companies get stuck here because they're terrified of alienating any potential buyer, so they try to compete on everything and they end up winning on nothing. It forces you, the listener, to ask a very difficult question. Are you pretending you're in lane 2 when your market realities actually place you in lane 1?
Because pretending you're in lane 2 when you're really in lane 1 is where companies go to die.
Absolutely.
It's just fascinating how different business cultures approach this exact challenge of, finding their lane. A.L. Harrison actually recently shared a cultural breakdown of GTM philosophies that is it's as hilarious as it is observant.
Oh, I saw this. Tell me about the Israel approach.
So in Israel, the GTM philosophy is largely based on pure chutzpah.
Just pure audacity.
Exactly. The product might not even exist yet, but they're out there selling it, inventing pricing tiers mid-conversation, texting prospects on WhatsApp at midnight.
That is wild. And how does that compare to the U.S.?
Well, contrast that with the U.S. approach. Here, teams will build a beautiful, majestic Notion document outlining their strategy. They'll calculate the total addressable market down to the decimal, craft a flawless pitch deck.
But delay actual revenue generation for months.
Exactly, holding out for that multi-million-dollar enterprise deal. And then in Europe, companies often get completely paralyzed waiting for GDPR compliance permissions that just never arrive. So they have a perfect legal checklist, but absolutely zero sales.
That is painfully accurate. But okay,
Yeah.
Let's assume you navigate all of that. You know your lane, your messaging is sharp, and you have a real strategy. That strategy is entirely useless if your infrastructure cannot support it.
Oh, 100%.
You need someone to actually build the operational machine. And this brings us to a massive shift in how teams are structured. We're seeing the rapid rise of what is arguably the hottest new role in B2B marketing right now, the GTM Engineer.
Yeah, the GTM Engineer. Michael Cerrugia recently charted the incredibly rapid evolution of this position. Because if you think about it, just a couple of years ago, in 2024, the data orchestration platform, Clay, basically willed this category into existence.
Yeah, it was super niche back then.
A very niche. But looking at the landscape now in 2026, this role has blown up. It's become the core infrastructure builder for entire revenue teams. It touches outbound sequencing, SEO, CRM data hygiene, complex account-based marketing. It's everywhere.
It really is. And to understand what a GTM engineer actually does on like a random Tuesday afternoon, Jorge B. Macias posted this hilarious but incredibly accurate breakdown of the daily realities of the job.
Oh, I love this list. What's on it?
Well, it is way beyond just logging into software. They're mastering dozens of disparate data providers. They're figuring out how to scrape target websites at scale without getting their IP addresses blocked.
Which is an art form in itself.
Right. And crucially, they are managing complex JSON data structures, which is basically the underlying code language that allows different software tools to actually talk to each other. And on top of all that technical work, they act as business psychologists.
Psychologists.
Yeah, trying to mediate the eternal war between sales and marketing, all while trying to explain to their family what a GTM engineer actually means at Thanksgiving.
Good luck with that. But bridging that gap between deep technical logic and human sales strategy is really the core of the role. Ahmed and Kadri pointed out that we're currently undergoing a major transition in how this job functions.
How so?
He describes it as shifting from the Clay era into the Claude code era.
Okay, the Claude code era. What does that mean for the operator?
Well, in the previous era, an operator was mostly just clicking around a UI, running manual plays. But the Claude code era is defined by autonomous orchestration. So instead of an operator clicking a button to enrich a list of 100 leads, which is just linear work, a GTM engineer builds a compounding system.
Like a script.
Exactly. They built a script that gives an AI agent the strategic parameters to evaluate every future lead autonomously. They're essentially encoding their strategic judgment into software.
Okay, I have to push back on that narrative a little bit.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because autonomous orchestration sounds like this perfect utopian Silicon Valley dream. But in reality, most GTM professionals I talk to are just trying to get their marketing automation platform to sync with their CRM without the whole thing crashing.
Fair point. Fair point.
Right. Like, are we really in an era of compounding autonomous AI systems, or is the reality much messier? If we look at the first ever State of GTM Engineering report by Jan Brokvich and Anshul Bhatia, the facts on the ground are pretty sobering.
What did the data say?
Well, yes, the compensation is high. The U.S. median salary for this role is $135,000. But the report highlights that the vast majority of these practitioners are entirely self-taught and most are still in their very first year of doing this specific job.
Wow, so they're getting paid really well, but they're figuring it out as they go.
Exactly. And Shrey Soni raised a brilliant question on this front. Do we have a talent problem or a seat design problem? Because despite that high salary, GTM engineers are currently spending 60% of their time on manual task work.
Wait, 60%?
60%, just doing basic list building and manual data enrichment. They're basically highly paid data entry clerks for over half their week. They were hired to do high-level judgment work, like signal design, but they're bogged down in manual tasks.
And you know why they're stuck doing that manual labor, right?
Right.
Because the tech stacks they inherited are an absolute disaster. Which brings us directly to our next major area of focus: stack simplification and signal routing. We've really reached a point where a massive tech stack is just a severe liability.
Well, it's totally a liability. Gabi Yoon called out this phenomenon perfectly. She noted that posting a diagram of your 15-tool GTM stack on LinkedIn's has become the new vanity metric.
Oh, with all the pretty color-coded arrows.
Yes, the arrows mapping out this crazy web of integrations. It looks sophisticated, but in practice, more tools simply equal more chaos. It's a massive reporting headache. When your sequencing platform says 200 emails were delivered, but your CRM only logged 140 activities, which system do you trust?
You can't trust either. You're just paying expensive subscriptions to inject noise into your own business.
Exactly.
So what's the antidote? Nico Jarrell says we need to ruthlessly cut the stack in half. He argues that only 4 layers of technology actually matter.
Just 4. What are they?
First is your system of record, that's your CRM. If it isn't in there, it didn't happen. Second is your system of context. This might be a tool like Octave or GitHub repo. This is the logic brain, where your AI prompts and ICP definitions live.
Makes sense. What's the third?
Third is your system of orchestration, like Clay. Think of this as the muscles it pulls data from the context layer, enriches it, and moves it along. And finally, your system of activation. That's your sending tool, like Lemlist or Unify. 1 tool per layer. That's it.
And you don't even need a massive enterprise budget for that lean approach. Judith Zhu recently shared this highly actionable example of a $1,000 a month stack.
$1,000 a month? That's incredibly lean.
Very lean. She used Apollo, Clay, SmartLead, HeyReach, and HubSpot. That's it. And that hyper-lean stack successfully generated $250,000 in revenue.
That's a serious ROI.
Huge. It proves it's not about the sheer number of tools. It's about seamless connection.
And that seamless connection is vital, especially when it comes to buyer intent. Matteo Flawed highlighted a crucial insight here. Most teams think they have a signal problem, like they aren't capturing enough intent, but Flaw argues they actually have a routing problem.
A routing problem.
Yeah. When a signal fires, whether it's website traffic or a key champion changing jobs, it needs to trigger the right motion instantly. If it just becomes a statistic on a dashboard, it's useless. It needs to automatically route an alert to the account executive Slack channel with pre-drafted email.
Okay, I have to pump the brakes here for a second.
Pumping the brakes, okay.
Because this lean stack with perfect automated routing sounds incredible. But what if the data routing to these stacks is just absolute garbage? Joe Lagrutta and Rashmi Kishan Kanjwani both sounded the alarm on this.
Oh, the state of the CRM?
Yes. If your CRM data is a mess full of duplicates and outdated contacts, AI just scales bad decisions faster. Applying AI to bad data is like putting a Ferrari engine in a car with square wheels. It just makes a disaster happen faster.
That is a terrifying but very accurate analogy. Garbage in, garbage out, just at the speed of light.
Exactly.
But, if a company does manage to get this right, they simplify the tech stack, clean their data, let AI handle the routing, it forces us to ask, what exactly are the humans supposed to do?
That is the defining question right now, which brings us to our final theme. Sales enablement, teams, and the human element. Because the human role isn't disappearing, it's just shifting. Bea and Henry talk about how the SDR role is changing. AI handles the signal recognition, but humans must handle the trust.
And trust is becoming the ultimate currency. Mitchell Forbes uncovered this fascinating paradox when talking to founders. Because AI makes generating noise totally effortless, the premium on human credibility actually skyrockets.
Because our inboxes are just flooded with AI emails.
Exactly. The inbox is a useless channel of infinite noise now. So in-person relationships are becoming the ultimate sales lever for enterprise deals. The AI routes the signal, but the human secures the contract.
But to build that trust, the whole team has to be aligned. Jack Barry reminds us that GTM isn't just sales, it's marketing, product, and customer success acting as a growth engine together.
Yeah, and Mike Tumulty pointed out that getting all those humans on the same page requires real sales enablement, which isn't just reciting a shiny PowerPoint deck, right? It's about driving behavior change at scale.
But I want to spare a thought for the people holding this all together when it fails.
Oh, the operations teams.
Yes. Mary Gilbert made this incredible observation. RevOps and MOPs teams have become the shock absorbers for organizational misalignment. When the strategy is broken, leadership rarely fixes it. They just ask ops to build another dashboard to patch it over.
It's so true. Operations can only measure how broken a strategy is. They can't fix it.
Exactly.
Connecting all of this leaves me with a final, somewhat provocative thought. If AI eventually handles all the data, the routing, even the initial technical outreach, does go-to-market eventually split into two entirely separate motions?
Two separate motions? Like what?
Like one motion that is purely API to API for the technical buy-in. Your AI negotiates with their AI. And then a second motion that is purely human to human. No technical selling, just dinners, handshakes, and building trust. It's definitely something for the listener to chew on as they look at their own operations.
Wow, that's a massive paradigm shift. Are you preparing for those roles to diverge completely? Well, if you enjoyed this episode, new episodes drop every 2 weeks. Also, check out our other editions on account-based marketing, field marketing, channel marketing, MarTech, social selling, and AI in B2B marketing.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.